Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money. I've traveled the world a lot for the past 6 years and I've learned a lot about how to save money. In this video, I'm going to share my top 5 tips for traveling with free accommodation. So whether you're on a tight budget or you just want to save some money, stick around and I'll show you how it's done. If you are new here, I have created this channel to help you learn about how to travel, adventure, and have fun on the road to financial independence. I have traveled the world, I own a couple of houses in Spain, and I'm on a creative journey to financial independence. I believe the road to financial freedom can and should be fun. I hope you'll subscribe and join me on this journey no matter where you are starting from. Years ago, I received a text from a friend with a link to a blog that would end up being the catalyst for my future travels. It changed the game for me. I never knew that world travel was possible on a small budget. So I want to start my list of 5 ways to travel for free by introducing you to what that blog introduced me to, house sitting. In the blog I read at the time, the author explained that she had been traveling the world and was able to live on less than $14,000 per year. That number shook me. How was that possible? Well, instead of trying to make a list of all the places she wanted to go, she would look for long-term house sitting opportunities that often took her to places that she may have never had on a list, but that ended up far exceeding her expectations. She explained that if accommodation is taken care of, the next most expensive item in travel is transportation. So the longer she stayed in one place, the less often she would have to pay for expensive transportation like flights. At that point in my life, I had done some house sitting for friends who had gone out of town, watching their dogs pretty regularly. A few years later, I decided to really give this a try. I knew there were a lot of up-and-coming websites that connected pet owners with house sitters, but how in the world do you gain the trust of someone you've never met before? Fortunately, I connected with the best house sitting site. I have an affiliate link to it in the description of this video. They had resources where I could complete a background check and also allowed me to upload videos. I was able to reach out to old friends for reviews, but I also asked one couple if they would do a video review for me. I thought this would go a long way in building trust with potential pet owners. I've used this site a handful of times over the years and it has been really helpful. One time I even used it to book a 2-month stay in my own city. I had come home early from traveling and my house was booked out as an Airbnb. I got to stay in a beautiful home with a lake view and private lake access for 2 months while I made a profit on renting out my own home. The crazy thing was that I was staying in a house that was nicer than my own home. This blew my mind. Another tip I have if you are just getting started is to apply for last-minute house sits where they are struggling to find a sitter. This will lower the competition for the house sit and allow you to build up your stellar reputation with great reviews. Some people become so popular as excellent house sitters that they are able to negotiate items like having their transportation paid for. Trust me, if you scroll through the house sitting listings, you will be shocked at how incredible some of the houses and locations are. Let me show you some examples. Here are available homes in Spain. Just look at some of these listings. Here are some listings in California, where it's actually really expensive to stay, but you can stay for free. Here are some listings in Australia, another place where it is typically very expensive to stay. Well, hopefully that gives you a good idea. I do want to note one more thing. Most of the time, house sitting involves looking after pets. If you are not an animal person, this may not be the best situation for you. But if you love animals and would love the companionship of a pet while you travel, then you definitely want to check out the link I have in the description. Other house sitting opportunities can involve gardening or other home care projects, but are less common than listings for pet sitting. Search any country for the place that will be just right for you. Okay, for number 2 on the list, I'd like to introduce you to Couchsurfing. I think I first learned about the Couchsurfing site in 2017, not long before I took off on my first world travel adventure. I had already booked Airbnb stays and generally understood that Couchsurfing was mostly for shorter stays. Then I was shocked when I entered the dates I would be traveling to Greece, and I had over 30 offers from people who were willing to host me for more than a month. Now, as a single female, I didn't personally feel comfortable with that at the time, and I had to work from home every day, not to mention I had already booked Airbnb stays for my entire trip, but I would definitely try this out going forward. The Couchsurfing community is full of wonderful people who are either passionate about travel or passionate about introducing travelers to their city. Even if you aren't comfortable with staying at someone else's home, if you travel at all, this is a great app to have. There is a calendar of events where you can go to gatherings. I went to one in my own city of Orlando. They held a potluck and 60 different people came from all over the world. It was fantastic. Another time, I went to an open mic night in Paris. If you're bored one day, you can also check out meetups where you can meet up with another couchsurfer to go on a walk through the city, get some coffee together, or anything else you might feel up for doing. Overall, couchsurfing offers you a place to stay for free with someone passionate about their city, and you don't have to do anything in exchange for it. Okay, now let's talk about number 3 on the list, woofing. If you've already seen this video about woofing or this video about my first experience woofing, then you may already know about this one. I was just introduced to this last year. Woofing stands for Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms. Obviously, each farm owner is different, but this generally gives you the opportunity to stay somewhere for free in exchange for a few hours of work every day on an organic farm. Some places include your meals as well. This is a cool opportunity to get back to nature and often a great learning experience. My friend and I decided to try this in Norway, where we traveled to a small town along a fjord and stayed 3 weeks for free. We ate delicious home-cooked meals and spent almost every day at the most gorgeous farm along the water. Many days I would put my headphones in for a few hours while I would weed the driveway or the paths between the gardens. There was also a couple of days where it was raining outside and my friend and I reorganized a tool shed. We also worked on transplanting succulents one afternoon. There were other woofers who were there as well, up to 15 of us during some parts of the stay. They worked on other projects and everyone had an opportunity to speak into what projects they wanted to do each day. Like I said before, each farm and owner will be different. Look for opportunities where there is a lot of clarity about expectations, and that goes for any of the sites I mention here today. Unlike the house sitting and couch surfing sites I mentioned, for woofing, you'll need to join by country. For example, when I went to Norway, I paid around €30 to join Woof Norway. You can Google woofing for whatever country you want to visit, and you can see the listings before you decide to join. Okay, now let's talk about opportunity number 4, which is a lot like woofing, and that is Workaway. This is basically a work exchange program, except this could be any kind of work, not just working on an organic farm. I won't go into a whole lot of details because it is so similar to the last one I mentioned, but I will state that the Workaway site specifically encourages the aspect of cultural exchange and learning new skills. Okay, let's move on to number 5, and this one is home exchange. This one specifically is something I think that could work well for families, which is a bit harder on the other platforms I mentioned. Several years ago, I joined a Facebook group called People Like Us Home Exchange. Personally, with the humble homes I've owned, I felt a little intimidated by how beautiful so many of these homes were. There are several home exchange sites, but I personally love the community with People Like Us Home Exchange. The owner, Drew, has really kept a personal touch in the way he runs his site, and the community is incredible. There are now over 30,000 members. The idea here is that you simultaneously exchange your house with someone else's house from another location in the world. This works especially well for family vacations. Now they have come up with options where you can trade, but for dates that aren't simultaneous. That works well for people who are not staying at their own home for longer periods of time. Now that I've told you about the 5 ways I've found to travel the world with free accommodations, I want to give you a few overall tips. If you are creating a profile on any site, be honest, straightforward, and really set yourself up well by being upfront about your expectations and who you are. Secondly, I've never had a bad experience on any of these sites. Everyone I've met has been amazing. However, do your due diligence. Avoid meeting anyone who doesn't have solid reviews. And don't give out personal information that's not monitored by the site you're using. Try having a video meeting in advance. And remember, if something doesn't seem right, trust your instincts. I do hope I've given you some creative ideas for how to travel, adventure, and have fun without breaking the bank. Let me know in the comments if you've tried any of these or which was most helpful to learn about. I'd really love to hear from you. Do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to join me every day, where travel and adventure build financial freedom. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.